In 1963, a man in central Turkey was knocking down a wall in his basement. He was renovating. Nothing dramatic. Just an old house in a town called Derinkuyu, in the region of Cappadocia, the kind of home built, like most homes there, into the soft volcanic rock beneath the surface. His hammer went through the wall, and instead of hitting more rock, it hit empty space. Behind it was a tunnel, and the tunnel didn't stop. He followed it down one level, then another, then another. What he'd found wasn't a basement. It wasn't a cellar, or a storage room, or a forgotten well. It was a city, an entire city, carved downward into the earth, instead of upward into the sky, with room enough, historians now believe, to hide 20,000 people at once. Nobody in the town above had any idea it was down there, and the deeper archaeologists went, the stranger and the more unsettling the story got. This is Derinkuyu, and once archaeologists mapped it properly, they realized it wasn't just deep. It was a fully functioning underground civilization. At least 18 levels, cut straight down into volcanic rock, reaching roughly 60 meters below the surface, with some passages estimated to go even deeper. The top levels held stables for livestock, cattle, horses, kept close to the surface, historians believe, so the smell and the noise wouldn't carry down into the living quarters. Below that, wine presses, oil presses, storage rooms cut with niches for thousands of clay jars of food, enough to sustain a population for months without ever surfacing. Deeper still, kitchens with soot-blackened ceilings, refectories with long stone benches, a chapel cut in the shape of a cross, even what appear to be schoolrooms and connecting every level. A maze of tunnels, most barely wide enough for one person, forcing anyone moving through them to crouch, to slow down, to go single file. That wasn't an accident. That was the entire design. Because scattered through the complex are giant circular stone doors, solid discs of rock, up to 1.5 meters wide, some weighing over 200 kilograms. They rolled into place from the inside. They could only be opened from the inside. And at the center of each one, there's a small hole, just large enough to push a spear through, so whoever was sealed inside could fight off anyone trying to force their way in. This wasn't storage. This wasn't a village cellar. This was a fortress, built to be lived in, and built to be defended. To understand why anyone would build this, you need to understand the ground itself. Cappadocia sits on layers of volcanic tuff, rock formed from ancient eruptions, compressed into stone that is remarkably soft and easy to carve when first exposed to air, then hardens over time. It's the same material behind the region's famous fairy chimney rock towers above ground. The oldest sections of Derinkuyu may date back as far as the Phrygians, around the 8th century BC, carved initially, most likely, as simple storage or shelter space. But the city as we know it, the 18 levels, the stables, the chapels, the stone doors, that expansion happened much later, during the Byzantine era, roughly between the 7th and 10th centuries AD. And that timing is not a coincidence. This was the height of the Arab-Byzantine wars, centuries of border raids sweeping repeatedly across Anatolia. Christian communities living in the open countryside were exposed, undefended, and directly in the path of armies moving through, again and again, for generations. So they went down. Entire villages carved these refuges beneath their own homes, expanding them level by level, generation by generation, until Derinkuyu alone could swallow 20,000 people, their animals, and months of food, and vanish underground within hours of a warning. And Derinkuyu wasn't even alone. A tunnel over 8 kilometers long connects it to another underground city nearby, called Kaymaklı. And researchers now believe there could be as many as 200 other underground complexes carved beneath Cappadocia, most still unexcavated, most still unmapped. An entire hidden layer of civilization sitting beneath a landscape most people only ever see from above. Here's what should stop you cold about the engineering. 20,000 people, sealed for weeks at a time, 60 meters underground, need one thing above all else: air. Derinkuyu has over 50 ventilation shafts, some plunging the entire depth of the city, engineered to draw fresh air down and push stale air out. A passive circulation system precise enough that even the lowest levels stayed breathable. They also solved water. Wells were cut deep enough to reach groundwater far below the lowest inhabited floor, and deliberately not connected to the surface wells above, so an enemy couldn't poison the city's supply from up top. This is a system built by people who had clearly done this before, who had learned, generation after generation, exactly what it took to disappear underground and survive there, for as long as it took the danger above to pass. And that's really what Derinkuyu is. Not a single, desperate hiding place, but a refuge used, sealed, reopened, and used again, across centuries. Byzantine Christians hid from Arab raiders. Later, the same tunnels sheltered local Christian communities from Mongol incursions, and later still, from persecution under Ottoman rule. Every single time, the pattern was the same. Danger approaches, the community disappears underground, the stone doors roll shut, the danger passes, and they come back up. But here's the part of this story that actually unsettles historians most. In 1923, following the Greek-Turkish War, Greece and Turkey signed an agreement forcing a mass population exchange. The Greek-speaking Christian communities, who had lived in Cappadocia for centuries, whose ancestors had carved and maintained cities like Derinkuyu for over 1,000 years, were compelled to leave. All of them. Permanently. They didn't lose a battle at Derinkuyu. Nobody stormed the tunnels. No army ever broke through those stone doors. The people who built and maintained this refuge for over a millennium left because of a treaty, signed hundreds of kilometers away. And once they left, there was no one left who even remembered the tunnels were there. The entrances were sealed or simply forgotten. The city that had survived Arab armies, Mongol raiders, and Ottoman persecution outlived every single enemy it was ever built to survive. And then it just sat there, empty, sealed, unvisited. For 40 years, until a man with a hammer broke through a basement wall. Today, only a fraction of Derinkuyu is open to the public. Roughly the top 8 levels, carefully lit and reinforced for tourists who descend by the thousands every year. The rest remains closed. Some of it unstable, some of it simply unexcavated. Passages mapped only partially, rooms that haven't been fully cleared, sections that researchers strongly suspect connect to parts of the network we haven't found yet. And that's the detail worth sitting with. An entire modern town exists on the surface right now, going about ordinary life. Cafes, houses, a school, sitting directly on top of a fortress built to hide 20,000 people, most of which nobody has fully explored, even today. 200 more of these cities are believed to exist across Cappadocia. Most have never been opened. Derinkuyu wasn't built by a lost, advanced civilization, or left behind by some vanished, mysterious culture. It was built by ordinary families, over hundreds of years, using nothing but hand tools and an accurate understanding of exactly how frightened they needed to be. They built the most sophisticated refuge in the ancient world. And in the end, the enemy that finally emptied it out wasn't an army at all. It was a signature, on a piece of paper, hundreds of kilometers away. Next week on tThe, we're staying underground, but going back much, much further, to the frozen tunnels of Siberia, where scientists just pulled something out of the permafrost that shouldn't still be alive. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And if this left you saying, what the? You know what to do.